calamity hits, earthquakes, floods, typhoons, tsunamis. What we see with our eyes are broken homes, uprooted lives. But what we often cannot see are the wounds the mind carries long after the ground stops shaking. Today, we explore post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, the invisible burden some carry after disasters, how it shows up, how common it is globally, and how healing might begin. PTSD is a mental health condition that can follow exposure to a traumatic event, something overwhelming that threatens safety or life. After disasters, people may survive physically, but their sense of safety, of normal, may be forever altered. Symptoms often include intrusive memories or flashbacks, reliving parts of the trauma. Avoidance, working to avoid reminders, places, people, or thoughts tied to the event. Negative changes in mood or thinking. Guilt, shame, hopelessness, emotional numbing. Heightened reactivity, being easily startled, irritable, trouble sleeping, hypervigilance. Not everyone exposed to disaster develops PTSD. The risk depends on many factors: how extreme the exposure was, loss suffered, personal vulnerabilities, and what help was available. Following earthquakes, meta-analyses find the combined incidence of PTSD among survivors to be about 23.7% overall. After the severe earthquake in Nepal, about 24% of adult survivors had PTSD nearly a year later. In the 2023 earthquakes in Türkiye, a study reported around 55.2% prevalence of probable PTSD among survivors. Another example, among those injured in an earthquake in China, Ludian earthquake, the PTSD rates dropped over time, about 23% at 1 month, 14% at 3 months, approximately 7% at 18 months. These numbers vary widely depending on how soon after the event people are assessed, the severity of damage, whether someone was injured or lost family, and access to support. One of the worst tropical cyclones ever recorded, Super Typhoon Haiyan, Yolanda, struck the Philippines in November 2013. Over 6,000 dead, millions affected, millions displaced. Studies among survivors responders conducted about 1.5 to 4 months after Haiyan found post-traumatic stress symptoms in some, but full PTSD prevalence among survivor responders was approximately 7.9%, compared with approximately 9.4% in relief responders, not directly disaster exposed. Longer term, 30 months later, in surveys among survivors and health professionals, 12% reported persistent mental health problems related to the typhoon. About 42% had experienced mental health issues at some point after the disaster. Sleep disturbances were also strongly associated with post-traumatic stress and general psychological distress 18 and 30 months after the storm. From disaster research, several risk and contributing factors line up. Severity of exposure, like witnessing death, losing home, injury. Repeated displacement, loss of community, loss of livelihood. Lack of social support or disruption of normal social networks. Personal vulnerability such as past mental health issues, age, especially older adults, gender and poverty. Ongoing stressors like insecurity, continuous threat, aftershocks, secondary hazards, displacement. Sleep disturbance. Poor sleep is both a symptom and a contributor to worse PTSD outcomes. Not everyone's PTSD follows the same path. Some people recover gradually. Others have persistent symptoms. Some fluctuate. For example, after earthquakes, early PTSD incidence tends to be higher. closer to 25 to 30% when measured within 9 months, but lower, about 19 to 20% after that, as symptoms may lessen or people adapt. In Haiyan's aftermath, while many had acute distress, the prevalence of full PTSD was lower than in some other disasters, possibly because of timing of measurement, relief efforts, or the resilience of communities. Healing does not happen alone. It depends on what supports and interventions are available, both soon after and over time. Key approaches documented include psychological first aid, PFA, for immediate relief, safety, listening, basic support, crisis counseling, psychosocial support in shelters and relief zones, meeting basic needs like physical safety, shelter, food, clean water. Without that, mental recovery is fragile. Trauma-focused therapies, CBT, EMDR, when accessible, peer and group support. Sleep hygiene interventions and helping people with insomnia, since poor sleep prolongs distress. In Haiyan, sleep disturbances were strongly correlated with longer-term post-traumatic stress. Building community resilience, restoring social networks, helping displaced communities settle. Culturally appropriate mental health services. Disasters break more than structures. They fracture what we carry inside. PTSD is one of those fractures. Not everyone will have one, but many do in ways that echo for months or years. If you or someone you know is experiencing distress long after a disaster, seek help. Even talking with someone you trust helps. Look for local mental health services or NGOs doing long-term psychosocial work. Remember, resilience is a process. Healing isn't a straight line, but people do heal. You are not alone. The storm may have passed in daylight, but recovery takes time, care, and compassion.